In case many of you think that because we were defended by a very strong mom, we were somehow spoiled brats, my mother took discipline very seriously. Very, very seriously. Discipline and strong Christian values. I remember being caned for a long time at St. Mary's. And then one day I went and I told her, Mom, do you know that every Friday I'm being caned at St. Mary's? And in fact, there's one particular Irish priest who's very enthusiastic. And I think His Excellency the President knows the priest I'm talking about, because I'm told he was quite familiar with his cane.
From the rolling green hills of Othaya, where the air is crisp and the tea plantations stretch as far as the eye can see, to the gated mansions of Nairobi's Muthaiga, few names in Kenya carry the same weight, respect, and quiet power as Kibaki. It's a name that evokes memories of one of Kenya's most brilliant economic minds, a man who rose from humble beginnings to become the country's third president, a man who transformed the economy, yet lived with an almost monk-like simplicity. That man was Emilio Moi Kibaki. But behind the statesman's modest smile and quiet demeanor lay a vast empire. An empire built quietly, without scandal, without showmanship, and now part of the inheritance and daily life of his son, Jimmy Kibaki. But unlike others who used such moments to chase political office or dominate headlines, Jimmy chose a different path. He became a figure of measured appearances. You would see him at state functions, impeccably dressed, polite, always respectful, but never courting the cameras. In a world addicted to attention, he perfected the art of silence. Whispers about his business interests began to circulate. Some claimed he had stakes in prime real estate ventures in Nairobi and beyond. Others suggested links to lucrative tenders and high-level corporate deals. A few spoke of a quiet hand in the hospitality sector and perhaps even in transport. One confirmed connection stands out: his direct involvement in Odibets, one of Kenya's leading betting firms. Under his leadership and influence, Odibets became a household name, sponsoring sporting giants like Mathare United and champion sprinter Ferdinand Omanyala. It was a move that placed Jimmy firmly on the map of Kenya's modern, fast-moving entertainment economy, an industry that is both immensely profitable and fiercely competitive. The family's wealth, however, does not rest on a single venture. It is built on an empire of land, buildings, and corporate holdings assembled over decades by the elder Kibaki. At the heart of that empire are sprawling estates like Ngingalili Farm, a 1,200-acre jewel along the Nakuru-Solai Road, now earmarked for an exclusive gated community. Then there is Lombara Ranch, a staggering 20,000-acre spread near Umuruti in Nanyuki, its value running into tens of billions. The portfolio extends far beyond agriculture. In Nairobi, the Kibaki name was tied to Union Towers, a 14-story landmark in the CBD, later sold to Mount Kenya University for hundreds of millions through investment vehicles like Harry Limited and Lucia and Company Limited. The family has held shares in prestigious developments such as Norfolk Towers, College House, Colobot Gardens, and International Life House. Hospitality too has a place in the empire, with interests in Silver Springs Hotel, Green Hills Hotel, and the Ketroot Grill and Campsite, ventures that combine land ownership with revenue-generating businesses. Even in the coast, it's not left out, with prime plots in Diani and in Nyeri, and buildings in Nyeri town anchoring the family's presence in both urban and rural economies. And yet, despite the magnitude of these holdings, Jimmy Kibaki has never been one to boast. He inherited not only the assets, but the philosophy that true wealth whispers rather than shouts. There was a time, in the mid-2000s, when Kenya believed Jimmy was preparing for a political career. He appeared at rallies, he spoke passionately about the youth and the country's future. The public began to speculate, was this the natural heir to the Kibaki legacy? But then, as suddenly as the rumors began, they ended. Jimmy stepped back. Some say he realized politics in Kenya was too brutal, too dirty for a man who valued his privacy. Others believe his father quietly advised him to avoid it, to protect the Kibaki name from the mudslinging of political campaigns. A few even whisper that internal family discussions sealed that decision. Whatever the reason, Jimmy returned to his preferred realm, the quieter corridors of influence. Friends and associates describe him as charming but cautious. He enjoys fine company but not in excess. He attends the right functions but never lingers in the gossip columns. And yet, those who matter in Kenya's elite circles know exactly who he is. They say, when Jimmy Kibaki calls, you pick up. When he suggests a deal, you listen. And when he attends a meeting, things tend to move. His wealth? Still a matter of speculation. Some estimate it in the billions tied to assets both in Kenya and discreetly abroad. Others believe the real value lies not in the money itself, but in the access, the doors that open simply because of who he is, and the legacy his father left behind. And unlike many wealthy heirs who spend recklessly, Jimmy appears to be a custodian of what was handed down to him. Perhaps this is the true Kibaki way, to hold, to grow, but never to boast. But even in his disciplined privacy, little threads of curiosity always finds their way into the public. A sighting at a luxury resort on the Kenyan coast, a glimpse of him boarding a first-class flight to London, an unconfirmed story about his role in a high-value transaction. Nothing scandalous, but always enough to keep the whispers alive. In the end, Jimmy Kibaki is a man who has managed to do something almost impossible in Kenya's modern elite. Remain relevant without being overexposed. Remain wealthy without becoming a tabloid target. And remain influential without holding political office. It is a delicate balance, one he has maintained for decades. Perhaps, in the end, that is his true inheritance from Moi Kibaki, the ability to wield power quietly, to build wealth steadily, and to let the world wonder about the rest. Because in Kenya, as in life, sometimes the greatest influence belongs not to the loudest voice, but to the quietest presence in the room. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life and legacy of Jimmy Kibaki, we would be honored if you could like this video, share it with others who'd enjoy it, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories like this one.